My name is Tom Filer. I'm a recent graduate. Graduated yesterday in Arabic with French and Persian, and I was involved in the Students as Agents of Change project in my third year, i.e. the year before last, and when I was subject chair in Arabic.
Okay, hi, I'm Rose Archer and I was coordinating the Students as Agents of Change projects in the same year. So, hi Tom, you were one of our pretty much the first student to get started on the Students as Agents of Change projects, and I just wondered if you could tell me why you chose to get involved in the project.
Well, the project seemed really kind of exciting from the start because it wasn't just a normal, you were just highlighting issues that you do in the SSLCs. You weren't just highlighting issues with the staff and saying that something needs to be done. What you were doing was going out there and doing some good research and doing focus groups, and we were talking about focus groups, interviews, and eventually coming up with then some detailed kind of detailed research, detailed information also what the problem was and what students thought in a really detailed way. And it was going to be constructive as well, so I kind of liked the idea that it was going to be constructive, and I thought that it was going to be a lot better way to bring about change than actually just going about and just bringing up all the negatives in the SSLCs and going, this needs to change, this needs to change, this needs to change, without actually saying, actually, have you considered maybe this? Students said that they might like this. It's kind of constructive.
Okay. So, is it fair to say that the relationship with social academic staff, how you were working with them, was slightly different in the projects than it would have been had you just been in your work as an SSLC chair?
Yeah, I mean the academic staff that we interviewed, because we video interviewed them, the ones that we video interviewed actually seemed to quite enjoy it as well, and they kind of liked the fact that they were also being asked their opinion in this. So we were highlighting an issue, we were going at it from both sides, so we were going at it from the students' point of view, but also from the kind of the lecturer's point of view as well. And they kind of liked that as well, that we were kind of bringing in their opinion, and I think they liked it. I mean, I think that they liked the fact that it was really well researched, and this was based on firm student opinion rather than just one course rep that had raised something that he disliked or she disliked. And yeah, and ultimately it was really positive, the kind of impact they did have eventually.
Okay. How did the students react to you doing the project? Were they positive about being involved from sort of the students you were talking to?
Yeah, again, I mean the students really liked it as well, because the students, it was kind of new to them. They hadn't really been asked for their opinion in this kind of way. And when we were going about focus groups and also just asking them generally, a lot of people, the course reps were always asked their opinion, but when you were going out and it wasn't just the course reps, you were going beyond that, you were going to normal students, so you were getting into the focus groups and you were asking normal students that might not usually have the opportunity to kind of to say what they think or whatever, and they kind of enjoyed that, and also the free food helped as well, I think.
Right, you spoke a little bit that it had about the impact. I mean, what sort of impact do you think your project had on your department?
Well, the conference was held at the end of my third year, and I wasn't too sure at that time what kind of impact it was going to have. I knew that we had some really good findings and we had some really good kind of suggestions, and I thought it was really it really highlighted how the department could improve. And it wasn't until I got back in my fourth year, at the start of the fourth year, that I actually saw that a lot of the changes that we suggested in the actual report had been implemented, and I think there was only a few that were took a bit longer and they're kind of works in progress or kind of thing, but I think they liked it as well. And the report that you wrote at the end as well was really quite professional, and I think they liked that. I think they liked the fact that it was really professional. It had all it was quite transparent. It showed a lot of the kind of the transcripts of the interviews, and it showed what students thought as well. And we kind of, through the focus groups and through the surveys that we sent out, it was really kind of a very professional, really constructive, really kind of useful for the department as well. I think I don't think they'd had that before. I don't think they had that kind of level of
information
detail.
I guess. Can you give a few examples of the types of things that you'd recommended and that were actually changed?
Well, our topic was assessment and feedback, so we were looking at ways to make to make the way that the students were being assessed a lot clearer, and B, to look at ways of getting the feedback a lot more constructive, so having more constructive feedback. But within that, we also discovered a few other issues. So, for example, there was we realised that the student handbook wasn't being the student handbook was there, and you could collect a copy collect a actual physical copy from the reception at the start of the year. A lot of people did that, but nobody actually read it from cover to cover. So when we got back in our 4th year, the head of department sat down with all the students and actually went through and highlighted, got all the students year by year and highlighted the points and highlighted what had changed this year. And kind of it was nice, actually. It wasn't just the student handbook, they also went beyond that. It was a nice kind of introduction to the year, saying welcome back, this is what changed, we've got these new lecturers, blah blah blah, and just kind of a good introduction, and especially for the first years as well. It would have been quite useful, I think. In other ways, we were looking at the BART sheet, how that could be changed, and we had in our focus groups several different examples of BART sheets that are used by different
So
departments.
these are the feedback sheets after you've submitted work. BART sheets,
where all your feedback comes on. And previously, in the institute, we just had a big text box, and then a little one for the second marker, and then the agreed mark at the bottom. And we were looking at there were different kind of examples and some really kind of interesting ones. But from the focus groups, we actually got that people actually liked the free text space, but they also wanted the tick box, so to break it down into the key kind of areas of structure, content, grammar and style and punctuation, all those kind of key areas. So at the top of them now, we've now got 5 key areas with along the top, first 2-1, 2-2. So and then they tick. So lecturers, it doesn't take long for the lecturer, but you can see which areas you can see straight away without reading the comments or trying to read some of the scribble that's written sometimes. You can see clearly where your marks have actually where you've done well, where you've not done so well.
That's brilliant.
Going into the future, we'd like to see. The ideal situation would be that they'll all be typed up. And there's a lot of students that think that we can't submit work handwritten, so that lecturers shouldn't be able to mark it handwritten. There's that kind of theory as well, and that sometimes if you do have a scrawl or whatever, a doctor's scrawl or whatever, that it's not fair on the students. But we've actually got, I think it's 1 or 2 lecturers that have actually started. They type it out on a Word document and then cut it out and stick it onto the thing. So there's some changes that are being implemented like that.
Okay.
Really positive.
How has the project changed your views on how students can engage with their institutions in general?
I think I definitely learned a lot about change as a concept, and I think the biggest thing I'd realised before that change was quite a slow process and quite a tiring process sometimes, and quite a an arduous kind of. Sometimes you feel like you're banging your head against the wall sometimes when you're trying to bring about that something's going to be really good, and you think that it's going to have a major impact on students, to be great for them, but you can't always. Not everyone's going to agree with you, especially lecturers that have been there for ages. So definitely my opinion of kind of change and how to bring about change, and I think what was kind of really good about that, as I said before, was the fact that it was really constructive, it was really detailed, it was really useful information, and we also. I think kind of the opinion changed a little bit, because during the SSLCs, we were kind of, we had, 2 maybe a term, 1 or 2 a term. You go to the SSLC, you'd sit down, and there'd be representatives from the lecturers, whatever, and you go, well, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. Students complain about this, and it just seems like you're kind of like it's a forum for just raising complaints. But what we found that during those SSLCs, actually, there's a lot of there wasn't as much, they weren't as beneficial, those SSLCs, as this project was, because I felt that change was much more likely to happen if you did it through a structured and useful and detailed, and you actually went out there and tried to find out what all students felt, because I think sometimes the lecturers might have thought that there was a lot of people on the committee that were putting their own interests, maybe not all the time, but I think it's quite hard if you're trying to represent a whole class's views or whatever. So definitely change, but I think also when it came to delivering the results as well, I learnt a lot about that as well. That it was like when we were given the presentation on the Students as Change, the conference that we had, that there was a way kind of, I think the softly approach has kind of worked a lot better than the kind of the direct kind of, this is what we found, this is quite clearly true, and you know, and instead of going about it like, instead we went about it as like kind of, actually this is what we found, this is what we think would be good, but you know, to give them actually a degree of kind of variation there.
Okay. And have you sort of been involved in sort of student engagement since you've done the project?
Well, that in my third year I was subject chair, and so in my fourth year I went for undergraduate faculty rep here. So I was kind of sat on the taught faculty board and represented undergraduate students' views at the University of Exeter, or tried to represent as best as I could. And also I got involved with a national network called the Student Learning and Teaching Network, the SLTN, and I became one of 10 committee members on that. And the committee members are made up from people that are involved in learning and teaching across the UK. And so I've kind of taken it to a kind of high level within the university, and then also I've gone kind of externally, and within the Student Learning and Teaching Network, we organise a lot of conferences and student-led events and stuff, and we also have a kind of a website where students are asked to comment about different issues and stuff. So it's really good. I've kind of taken it out and broadened it, and it's really been good also to find out a lot of different students' opinions and how different universities do things differently. But the one thing that I have found is that a lot of people have heard about this project, the Students as Agents of Change project, and a lot of people are very, very keen to kind of to get that in their university and to kind of to explore that, because I mean everyone agrees that it's a really good kind of idea.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you so much for your time, Tom.